Hey guys, my name's Autumn and I just thought I'd share my 17 and pregnant story. So a little bit of background knowledge. I started dating my baby's dad at the beginning of quarantine. He DM'd me through Instagram and we started talking, and then we ended up meeting up and started dating. We dated for about 6 months. Towards the end of our relationship, I just realized I didn't have the feelings really there the whole time, but it was during quarantine and I think I just was kind of lonely, and I'm not going to get into too much detail about everything that happened there. But towards the end of our relationship, I just realized it was something that I really didn't want to be in anymore. The things he was doing, and I wasn't feeling it anymore. But I had started not feeling the best, and I realized, I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, my period's supposed to be here this week, and it's not, but my period wasn't really regular. But I ended up thinking, I looked back on, because I had calculated my period, and I realized that the last period I had wasn't until before Halloween, and it was the beginning of December. So I was like, maybe I should take a test just to be sure. So I had gone to work that evening after school, and then right after work I ran to our local CVS, and I picked up a pregnancy test just to see, take it just to clear the air. So that morning before school started, I had went and taken the test, and I set it on the counter because you have to wait so long before it'll give you your results. So I went and took the test, and then I went about and got ready, was doing my hair, did my makeup and stuff, and then went back, and I waited about 3 minutes before I checked it, and I looked, and it, instead of sometimes it can be one solid line is the regular okay, the test works, and then there's another line that says if that line pops up, that means you're pregnant. Well, there was two very solid lines. It wasn't one solid line and one faint line, it was two very solid lines. So I was like, well, and at that moment I just dropped down and started crying because I was like, what am I gonna do? But I was like, this test could be completely wrong because I just grabbed a cheap one. So I'm gonna go after school because I still had school that day. So I was like, I'll go after school and I'll grab some more, and I'll grab different brands and a bunch of tests in each brand just to make sure, because I was like, before I tell anyone, I need to know that I'm actually pregnant. So I went that day and I grabbed more pregnancy tests and I took them, and again there was two very solid lines, and I was like, okay, I'm definitely pregnant. So I had called my boyfriend at the time and I let him know hey, I am pregnant, I don't know what we're gonna do, but I needed to let him know. And I didn't really want to stay with him, but after I found out I was pregnant, I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay with him for the baby. And so I told him, and then I went to school because this was all during a weekday, and I had went to school, and I told my best friend at the time. I went, and I was bawling in the bathroom because I was like, what am I gonna do? I don't know how I'm gonna tell my parents, I don't know how I'm gonna do any of this. So she just was comforting me, and she was like, no matter what, she's like, I'm always gonna be here, if you need anything, if you need somewhere to stay, she was like, you can stay at my house. And I was like, that really meant a lot. Well, then throughout that day, me and my boyfriend had been texting, and I was he started texting more about you should look at your options, you should look into abortion. And I had told him from day one, if anything were to happen, I would never get an abortion, that's just not something I would do. And he kept pushing it, and it was starting to I was getting frustrated that he kept pushing it, but also it was making me really sad because I was like, okay, you said you were gonna be here and now you want to end your child's life. And I was like, I'm not getting an abortion. and he was like, well, look at your other options. He was like, there's adoption and everything, and I was like, no, I'm keeping it. And I could tell he was starting to like show that he didn't want anything to do with his child. So that day after school, I had called him and we were talking on the phone, and he was like, I want to be with you, but I don't want to be with for the baby. And I was like very confused, because I was like, you can't be with me and not be with your child. Like, that's not how it works. So and I was like, at this point, I was like already like at the point where I didn't even really want to be in this relationship. So I was like, I think we just need to break up. And I was like, if you're not gonna be with a child too, like if you just want to be with me and not your own like child, like that's not gonna work. So we ended up breaking things off, and it was very bad. And I ended up finding out that the day I told him, he went and slept with someone else. So on top of things, it was just a really bad situation, and it just wasn't gonna work out. Well, after about a week, I was like, okay, this is still like my child's father, and I think that he should be involved, because I don't want my child to grow up without a dad. So I continued to text him and was like, hey, I have an appointment. She's waking up. I have an appointment coming up. Like, do you want to go just so you can see like your daughter? Like, I have an ultrasound. Like, are you sure you don't want to go? And he never responded to me. I continued to text him for about, I don't know, it was a couple of weeks or maybe a month, because I was like just making sure, like giving him as many opportunities as possible to be in his daughter's life. And he just wasn't responding. And then he responded once and was like, I don't want anything to do with this. And he was like, I obviously know I'm gonna have to pay child support, but besides that, like, that's all I'm gonna do. And I was like, okay. And at that point, I was already so tired, because I was like, I didn't want him to be involved in the first place, and I had already given him all these opportunities to be in his daughter's life. So I was like, you know what, I'm done. Like, if he wants to reach out, he can reach out. So I didn't text him, and we didn't talk. And then his mom reached out to my mom and was like, we need to meet up and we need to talk about this. So we had to get together, and we went to like just a restaurant, and I had to sit down with him and his family and my family, and we had to talk about everything, because they were making sure that I was actually pregnant, which I was like, I've taken about 50 tests, I'm definitely pregnant. And the entire time they were like, well, have you thought about abortion? And I was like, okay, I've already said that I'm not gonna do that. So I was getting very frustrated. I was being very blunt the entire time. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then they kept telling my parents, like, is she keeping it? Like, have y'all thought about adoption or anything else where she wouldn't keep the child? And I was like, okay, I get that you may not want to be involved, but this is my child too. And I have a say in like what's gonna happen to her, and I want to keep her. So I was very frustrated, and that all happened. My mom did want me to give him an ultrasound picture, so I did give him one, but in the process of handing it over, his mom took it from me so that he wouldn't see it, and so it was just a very awkward situation. We ended up leaving, and after that, my entire pregnancy, not one word. I didn't hear from him, his parents, nothing. Like, there was still nothing. I still haven't heard from him after she's been born. She's 2 weeks old yesterday. So, and I've posted her. I know he's definitely seen her on social media, but at this point, I think it's better that it's just me and her. She's very loved by everyone. I do have a boyfriend right now that if you're following me on social media, you probably see him a lot, because I post him a lot. And he has been such an amazing help, and he loves her very, very much. And it's very like heartwarming, because it's not his, and he met me after I found out I was pregnant, which if y'all want to see a video over that whole story of how we like got together and how it's worked out, even though he's not my baby's father. I will post another video about that, but he has just been an amazing help and throughout all of this. And so I was just like, at this point, I would rather just leave it where it's my child's loved and not with someone that doesn't even want her. So enough on that whole thing. When I found out I was pregnant, I didn't know how to tell my parents because I knew they'd be very upset. So when I told my best friend, she told me, she was like, have you told your parents? And I was like, no. Well, it was the beginning of December, so it was getting close to Christmas, and I was like, I really don't want to ruin the holidays. Well, I had told my mom because I was like, I need someone to talk to, and I was just bawling because I was like, not the fact that I missed my ex, but more I think the fact that I was like lonely and I was just sad, and I had found out I was pregnant and I didn't know what I was going to do because I was like, I'm about to be a single teen mom, and I was graduating early already, and I had plans to go to Alabama State, which I live in Texas, so I was moving far off from my family, and it was just a very stressful time because I really wanted to go for cheer, and I was like, I obviously can't do that anymore, and I was just kind of very like sad about everything. And so I told my mom, and at first she was like, she wasn't like upset, but she was kind of disappointed, and I knew she would be, but she was very like supportive of my like decision, and she was there for me, and it was really nice to have someone. And she was like, but she didn't want to tell my dad till after Christmas, just so the holidays weren't completely like stressful for everyone. So we were gonna wait, but living in a small town like I do, word gets around very, very fast, and more people started finding out, and me and my mom were like, we need to go ahead and tell your father. So we went ahead and told him, and he didn't take it the best. I mean, like any parent, it's very hard when they find out their teenage daughter is pregnant and the dad's not even involved. So he didn't take it the best, and there was a couple of weeks where he didn't really talk to me, but he started talking to me more, and he was like, I'm sorry for everything, and he said, I know this is a very stressful time for you, and he's been very supportive throughout this whole thing. And he was actually there at the hospital whenever she was born, and he just held her, and he loves her so much, and he's always coming up to my room like, do you need anything? Do you want me to take her from you? And it's been very encouraging to have both my parents being very helpful with everything going on, because I'm still trying to go to college, but I'm waiting a semester, that way I have enough time with her, and that way we can just kind of relax, because it's a very, very stressful having a child at this age. But I'm so thankful for all the support, and if y'all want another video of more of like details of like labor and delivery, because I did have a very stressful labor process, I will share that with y'all. And if you want to know anything else, just comment it down below. I will also leave all my socials, so go like and follow and subscribe to my channel. Thank y'all.